States, there's normally pork and marshmallows and gelatin. A lot of candies have pork in it. This is done on purpose to cause us to sin, because we are not allowed to eat pork. And this was something that came up today. Now, I don't know if I'm being obedient to God or not, but I think that I'm supposed to observe the first meeting and see what goes on before I say anything. So I did not mention about the pork to them today. It was an obvious setup, but and to be able to make any change, I sat through. This is my opinion. Maybe I did it wrong. I don't know. God never tells me what to do directly. Just puts me in a situation. So I thought maybe I will observe. Find out who's in charge, and we are supposed to go and quietly tell somebody like a pastor or whoever's in charge of a Bible study group. We're supposed to go quietly tell them, and not just everybody, because these people, yes, we should do our own research, but the Bible is a very long book, and people are lied to as well. So really, the majority of the blame falls on the religious leaders. It is their responsibility not to lie to their members. What do you call congregation, or anyways, oh, shoot, it looks like I can't eat this. They put gelatin in this. This is horrible. I'm gonna throw it in the trash. I don't know. Why would they put gelatin? Well, see, the thing is, it doesn't say what gelatin. If it doesn't say what gelatin is, it's pork. Because they can use fish gelatin. That's what's in kosher and halal foods, is fish. Everything that's not kosher and halal is a sin, because pork carries pork spirits. I have covered this in other videos. Good boy. But Jews and Muslims already know that you're not allowed to eat pork. But Jesus knows this too, and so do the people that actually read the Bible, where it calls eating pork an abomination. And Jesus actually allowed demons to possess pigs, which is why they're horrible. But also, you weren't able to humanely slaughter a pig, and that's why they were. This is why I believe the reason why Jesus allowed the demons to possess pigs is because you cannot humanely slaughter them. They suffer when they die. You can't slice their jugular, which was required by Jewish law. So when the evil spirits needed a way to get back to the marine kingdom under the water, then they asked Jesus, and he allowed evil spirits to possess pigs. And those pathogens that are in those pigs are really what I believe to be evil spirits. And these spirits can cause infirmity and sickness. And that's why it's impure for humans. It's not healthy. It's impure. They carry pathogens, which are little demons, that make you sick. As you can notice by people that eat pork, their health is not very good. A lot of people come down with cancer and other diseases. They're going to get this sorted out. But right now, it's very important to God that we not eat pork. It is very important to God that we not eat pork. Yeah, this is tempting me too. I'm just gonna. It's in the trash. It's in the trash. General Mills, you did not have to put pork in that cereal bar. I was gonna eat that. I was kind of hungry. But you had to put pork in there. All of you guys, you could have just put fish gelatin instead. It probably would have cost 1 cent more, if not the same price. This stuff that was unhealthy was subsidized before, but I think the Trump administration got rid of those. So maybe it's the same exact price. But you guys choose to put pork in it on purpose, knowing that the Bible says it's an abomination. The Jews know it's an abomination. The Muslims know not to eat it. And they all have the stories and reasons why. And Jesus allowed evil spirits to possess pigs. So do you think he wanted us eating them? No. No, he didn't. And God directly told me one of my missions is just to offend the shit out of people and tell them not to eat pork. Seriously have to offend people and be rude. I know I don't have any friends and family. That's fine. But this is one thing the Kingdom of Darkness does. Is they have somebody pretend to be a friend and like me. And then they do something that is not allowed, that I'm going to have to call them out for, and then they won't like me anymore. This is what always happens. But, I'm still going to say it, but there wasn't a good opportunity this meeting. I excuse me. Okay, so um it's Tuesday. I had a trial yesterday, which was canceled because the judge was out sick. He called in sick right when our trial was supposed to start. Now I think this was God, and it was probably for the best. It was probably God, providing a victory, or at least part of the victory that will come. I don't know how. I didn't see this happening. Like, the judge could have called in sick at 8 o'clock, or 10 o'clock, or 7 o'clock. The judge called in sick at 9 o'clock. And 9 o'clock is when the trial was set. So this is God. Seriously, this is God. Like, I don't know how many days a year the judge calls in sick, but he also called in exactly when our trial was set to start. So that's God right there. So I think it's probably good, but who knows? Anyways, I understand this is restoration season, so I believe that it's good. So today is Tuesday, the day after. Excuse me. This is the day after the trial. This is my old Bible study notebook that I took to the previous church that I went to, and I would put like some corrections and things in this. So I thought this one was appropriate for the Bible study, but I went ahead and wrote down some things that covered in what happened. So, I got up earlier than I needed to, and then I took my time getting ready, and then I left just right on time. And I had plans to meet the older man from the other church and his wife. I didn't know if she would be there or not, because she had left and didn't mention anything. But she was there too this time. But he was supposed to meet with me at 2, and he mentioned putting strings on my guitar so that it would sound good again. I asked, and they just offered, like, so I asked, like, do you know, because the people playing music was brought up, and there was a musical performance that was brought up, like, the choir was, like, I just mentioned something, and then I asked, and I said, do you know anyone that plays acoustic? And they both did. They both did, and then I just asked more questions, like, how, know anyone that could help me get some strings on? They mentioned the music class, and so then the guy actually, he, mentioned he would come into this and meet me. So after this Bible study, I went, and then I was early. I was like 17 minutes early, or 18, something like that, 18 minutes early or something. Probably 17 minutes early. And I rung excuse me, there's like a doorbell intercom thing to go in just by the entrance. They are actually either as I was going in or right before, I think as I was opening the door, maybe. Yeah, that's what happened. So I rang the bell thing, and then I told them I was there, and then they unlocked the door. And so then I opened it and start to go in. I'm still outside, but I'm opening the door. And then the man and his wife come towards me quickly. They were waiting for me. And then I saw them, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I realized I had an appointment today at 2, so I can't make it. They came in, and we're talking a bit, and he did tune my guitar and took a look at it, so, maybe it'll be a better result this way, I don't know, but, if it happens, it's up to God if it happens. But, they have both been playing guitar a very long time, and, I don't, really know. I figured a few things out, but there's a lot of things that I just don't understand or I've never done, that's all. So if someone could introduce me to that, then I could practice it. So I don't know, but even playing with somebody, but I don't know. It's up to God what happens, but this man did approach me the first time I went for the free breakfast, and he seemed nice. And I think he asked if everything was okay or something like that. So okay, let's see here. So today, I already had that plan to meet them at 2. And so I was invited to, a Bible study was mentioned, and they said that they had food there. So this was, Sunday. So I went to this church on Sunday, and while I was there, someone mentioned that they have a free lunch at 11:30, which is the same time as the soup kitchen. And they said, right, and then it wasn't immediately mentioned, but then later it came up there's a Bible study after. So they mentioned the food first, and no one said Bible study. So this is the thing, they were trying to get me to come. So I was at the Sunday service, which the addicts and the witches and warlocks invited me to and were bringing me to this church where they freely operate, and they apparently bring in their food, which is probably cursed, and you know, they this church is I haven't seen one that's right. This church actually, I don't know. I haven't been there long enough to really know what the pastor teaches. Um, I do know that they seem like they were into woke culture, like wokeism. And some of this is good, but it's like when they do it just for the sake of like mocking people that are conservative, it kind of seems like that a little bit. But so I know when something is forced, is what I'm saying. So like during the service, I only went 2 days to the regular service, and I didn't go to both parts. I didn't realize there was more than one. And they would say something in English, not everything, but sometimes they would say something in English, and then they would have a Mexican woman or some, I don't know what, I'm just saying, like someone that was Hispanic, and then she would translate it after, and they did this a little bit. And I don't know, I didn't really even see any Hispanic people there. I really didn't. There might have been one or two somewhere. I don't know. There might have been some, but I didn't see any. The majority of the people were not Hispanic there. And I didn't notice any. But maybe I just didn't see them. But so there was somebody that would preach or say something in English, and there was a woman standing next to her, and she would say something in like Spanish, like translating it. And then they just mentioned a few things that were woke, and I recognized it was woke. Now, these things they did weren't bad, though. These are good things, but they're doing it because it's wokeism, actually, if that makes sense. So I think it's a little silly. Like, they had a Haitian migrant guest speaker, and he seemed like a really good guy. I don't know, though, because a lot of people can look good and they're evil, and I find out later, but he seemed like a good guy to me. Um, and I'm not saying because he's evil because he's a Haitian migrant. I'm saying is that God often has people look like they want to help or that they're neutral or they're good, but they're really enemies. And then it showed to me later. Because I'm supposed to go through something to understand what happens, to what people experience. So, like the type of problems that other people have in these groups. They look like charities and stuff, but they really have infiltrators. They have traitors who have infiltrated. Okay, so this this church does a few woke things, I noticed. And as soon as I came in, they had like an electric guitar. This is the thing, these things are good. They should have an electric guitar in there. But it's like just everything on purpose. Like, those things are fine. I don't see any problem with that. But they're not protecting the church at the same time. Like, I don't know. I have not been there long enough to know if they tell anyone to follow the law. The following the law is important. Now, I haven't really heard a lot of epistles of Paul. I haven't really heard Pauline doctrine yet. I really haven't. So that's why I'm saying I don't know yet. I would have to continue going. But I don't know if they mention to follow the law. Um, I do know that the people that go there that have this Bible study eat ham and eat pork, so that needs to change. But the covens freely operate inside of this church. They freely, and they invite people, and there's a lot of them. Like, there's a really small area that has, like, coffee and stuff, and it's like, almost all the people I saw in there were witches and warlocks. And then the main church, like, it's like, I don't know how many, there were so many. If like 20% of this people going to the church were Satanists, I'm sure devil worshippers, I'm just saying, like, it was a lot. And you can tell what they look like. But, you know, I think God uses everything for good, right? God uses everything for good. God has the devil worshippers attending church, listening to service, preaching the gospel, you know, getting us. But they are also participating and learning some things too. So anyways, this church was established in 1966. You got your 66 there. Now, 66 is actually the percentage of good beings and not fallen beings. But it's kind of like what I think, what I've heard about it is that that's the percentage. So if a third of the angels fell, then about 66% would be good and followed what God said. Okay, so 66% is good. So when you see the 666, I think that that's something like a war cry that the enemies use, like the fallen angels. They say 666 when they're coming after us. But that actually represents the obedient, like the good beings that listened to God, that did not disobey. So, yeah, this happened on Sunday that someone mentioned, oh, they have free food here at 11:30. They mentioned it a few times, and then I asked again, and then finally someone said, and there's a Bible study after. So they didn't want to tell me there was a Bible study at first. They wanted to tell me about the free food, get me in, and then oh yeah, there's a Bible study. And so they also knew that. So this is the thing. The man from the soup kitchen, I think he was envious. He was a little upset with me or something at first, because maybe I was going to I was going to be friends with someone else, or there's probably more to it, but we'll find out later. Anyways, so there's just a little thing, like he forgot, like he said he would get me something to wrap my leftovers, and then got sidetracked and most people had left, and then I had asked somebody else after a couple of minutes, and he's like, oh, sorry, I forgot. I almost didn't have anything to put my leftovers in. And I'm glad I have them, because I can eat them on Saturday when the soup kitchen is closed. So anyways, maybe it was at that point when I talked to the other woman, and then these people, they mentioned they had a meal Tuesdays at that church. They have a lunch for people. And I was invited to that. And then, after, like, the third time it was mentioned, then they said there's a Bible study after. I'm like, okay. So I know when this happens, God has an assignment for me, and I am supposed to go. So today is Tuesday. Knowing that I had a meeting with people that were supposed to restring they said they would restring my guitar, which I didn't expect. I was really thrilled that this might actually happen. It's something that I would like, but I don't expect. But they said they would. I believe that the man was very honest, so that really something did come up. They did have other plans. So anyways, I had to bring my guitar, which meant I could not ride my bike. So it was more than a mile, and it was uphill, and it was in the snow. And so I had, like, my Bible study bag, which had the Bible and a book, and it was pretty heavy, because this is a thick Bible. And then I had, like, my to-go food container, just in case. You never know. You gotta have that, because you never know if there's going to be leftovers. This is something I know. You don't want, like, a little Walmart bag that rips and breaks. They make them really thin now. And then I had my guitar. And I started walking for a while. And it's just kind of uncomfortable. It's not that it's super heavy, but it's like when you're holding it at the bottom of your hand, and you got the hard handle, and it puts weight on your hand after a few minutes, and then, it's just not comfortable. And so, like, I walked, it was probably more than a half hour to get to this, which was supposed to be a free meal, followed by a Bible study. And I didn't expect what I saw. I figured there would be some tricks, but I didn't expect what I saw. It was wild. Okay, so, and maybe God is gonna, I don't know if I'm being tested, or if God wants me to try to help people, or if they're trying to fail me. I don't know what's going on here. But I showed up at 11:30, and I go knock on the door, and I try to open it. It's locked, and nobody's in there. Then I go around to the side, and that's locked too. And then I look in there, I see as I'm walking towards the side, there's a car. Like, the car is turned on, but there's a person sitting in their car. And then I go towards it, and then there's another woman standing in the parking lot. And she's standing in the parking lot smoking a cigarette. And then I realized, okay, good, they really are having this. Because, what if they canceled at the last minute? I walked all this way with my guitar for nothing. Like, seriously, this is the type of thing that could happen. This could happen to me. They would be glad to get me in another humiliation ritual. Like, have me walk for 35 minutes in the snow, carrying, like, my guitar and my Bible and a notebook and stuff. It's just, like, not comfortable. I mean, of course I could do it, but I don't like to. It's like going to the gym and using a machine. I don't like to do that. So I mean, there's no point even now. So this is just another thing. Like the prophets in the past, they had to go through the desert and it was hot and they were tired and they were thirsty, okay, and they were uncomfortable. The temperature was not good. So that's why we have to go through this too. And there's also times when they were cold and they had to walk far and they had to carry things. So we have to go through these same things that the prophets of old did. Anyone that chooses to follow Christ will have trials and they have situations that are uncomfortable. It's part of the price you pay to be in Christ's army. Okay, it's not just me in this. Okay, it's not just me in this. I believe I'm one of the 144, but like after them, I believe the majority of people follow and join too. So you will hear from some Satanists. They get angry. They're jealous when they hear about the chosen ones. But the truth is, if you read the Bible, then it says many. So only few were chosen, but then like many follow them and then are saved too or something. I don't remember the exact words, but it's like it sounds like the majority of people become chosen ones too. I'm seriously. So it's not some like exclusive thing. We're supposed to like inspire people to do the same thing. And anyways, but it's always hardest for the the pioneers or whatever you call it. Let's see what's this. So there was supposed to be a meal at 11:30. I had a meal that I could have got at the soup kitchen, and their lunches are big and their lunches are good. And yes, there was trouble at the soup kitchen, but I'm kind of the point where maybe I've conquered the soup kitchen. Like not quite all the way, but it's getting close. Like enough people have tried to get me. Like I've been going there almost a month now, and so with a little attack each day, now I figured I know how to get my drink. I know how to get my tray and not leave them. And I know how to get in line. You know, I know how to wash my hands without going to the bathroom. I know how to do it all. So they can try a few more things, but I figured a lot of it out now, so they can't poison me. Um, and so I could have went to the soup kitchen and I could have got some food for free, a lot of food. They always have tons. The lunches have a lot more variety than the dinners do, really. And maybe more people come for lunch. I don't know why that's the case. Let's see. Maybe it's because they want to leave sooner. Um, it gets dark early, and so they don't want to have as much stuff out for dinner time. They'd rather have it out for lunch. I don't know. I mean, it's fine. It's just this is something I could have went to, and instead I was invited to get a free meal at this church. So I did not go to the soup kitchen. I walked for like 35 minutes carrying my guitar and everything else through the snow up a hill, and then I went to get my lunch, which came with a Bible study, and then no one's there. Knock on the door. No one's inside. And go around the side, and I do see a car stalling. Like I guess someone's sitting in the car and the heat's on or something. And it's like okay, yeah, it's just not ready yet. And then I see the woman out smoking, and she's like, "Oh, I like your shoes. I have these like they're not Uggs, but they look like Ugg boots, and they have some embroidery on the back that looks like a tattoo." And she's like, "I like your shoes." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." And then she had this jacket on, and it was like red, and it looked like fake fur. It was like fuzzy. And I said, "I like your jacket," because I did like that jacket. But anyways, but she was smoking a cigarette. Something to mention, okay? So I don't know. We'll get into maybe why God sent me here. Why they wanted me to come. Maybe they wanted me to come to convert me or to get me. But maybe God wanted me to go for another reason. I don't know. And then someone like, it was a little bit late. Someone came out and they said, "Oh, we normally have home cooked food, but we just have pizza today." Like, because this is something they normally have bring in potluck of home cooked food. Today, was the day I was invited, and instead of doing what they always do, they got pizza. You want to guess what kind of pizza they got? That's right, pepperoni. Everyone I saw had pepperoni on it. I didn't say anything. But see, the demons in people, they will do this to me. Is like, I could have went to the soup kitchen and gotten lunch, but instead I went to get this lunch that I was invited to. And the man at the soup kitchen knew I was going. You know, they knew I was going to be there. And he knew I did not eat pork. I mean, this gets around. It gets around that I don't eat pork. The demons know I don't eat pork. They also know we're not supposed to, so they want to tempt me. They try to tempt me because, like, I didn't get lunch, and the only food they had ham on it, so I couldn't eat it. And what are they going to look and see what I do, like, see if I get upset? But luckily I wasn't that hungry, because I'm never really that hungry at 11:30 in the morning, even if this was like 11:45, so... Then people head in, and I'm just noticing as they're going in, I'm like, oh, I believe, okay, so I counted, and I could have been wrong, but I counted how many people were there. And I believe there were 13 people there, maybe not including, maybe me too, I don't know. I counted 13. There was one man, and everyone else was a woman. And I believe almost every woman was a witch. Like, I really, truly believe this. Now, actually, I did see two women that might have been, I saw one woman that might have been a believer. I did. So I saw two women that might have been addicts or recovering addicts, and then the rest of the women, they were like witches. This is what I saw. This is seriously, like, the whole Bible study group was a group of Satanists, and I'm serious. I'm serious about this. And whether they knew it or not, the demons in them knew I don't eat pork, and they invited me to this event, and all of the food had pepperoni on it, so I couldn't eat it. So it seemed like a bit of a setup, but, I didn't run away and cry. Well, was I going to cry because I didn't get any pizza? I actually had extra pizza in my freezer I just brought back from the soup kitchen. I was planning on eating that this weekend. So, while I'm walking around trying to get in, I noticed it said on the building that this church was established in 1966. Okay, it's got your 66 there. But 6 plus 6 is 12 plus 10. These numbers also add up to a 22. There's also a church right in front of this, or some pastor office or something, with the address 222 on it. And then this was established, you add those numbers up, it equals 22. So anyways, this was, let's see if these numbers add up to anything. 3, 4, that's 10, 14, 19. So the date adds up to 19, which is a number having to do with me. Okay, so the man that works at the soup kitchen normally goes. He said he had an appointment and couldn't come. But I think there's more to it than that. I think he was going to see how it went first. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but it looked like it's possible that he didn't have an appointment, that for the new members, okay, we go, see how we're received, and then that determines, like, how he feels about the situation. So he did not come. And they had pepperoni pizza. So, and then, so I didn't get any, but also did I not get any, but, like, I went to sit down, and then I noticed there's a TV screen, and I talked to the woman just a second, and this is the woman that was outside, and she didn't seem bad or anything. I believe that she was, like, what they would call a white witch, which really we know that it's not quite a thing, but there's actually someone that practices, like, this type of thing, or has spirits, but actually doesn't want to hurt anyone and seems like a good person. Like that type of thing. Does this make sense? Like, where you can have demons but not want to be, and then you have people that are actually trying to get others. Okay, so, but none of it's good, but, like, something's good. This is a church where covens freely operate, and the entire Bible study group appeared, the whole group appeared to be witches. But there was one woman I could tell it used to be an addict, and I believe she was recovered, and she even knew scripture, and she was, like, getting emotional. She got a tear in her eye. I could tell this is a good woman. This is a repentant woman here. But anyways, let's see, and then, like, as a new person there, I wasn't really invited. I didn't really feel welcome. Maybe one person, like, was kind of nice and introduced herself. Like, maybe two did. But then a lot of the people there kind of, like, they didn't really. So, actually, I want to correct that. So there was one woman there that, I guess if you had to say someone was in charge, I guess she wasn't. She was actually pretty nice. And then there was the other woman who invited me. Okay, so they did say, like, hello or something, and they seemed to, they were polite. But there was a lot of people there, and they didn't necessarily do anything rude, but they just didn't, like, necessarily say hello or greet me or anything. They just kind of ignored me in some way. And then, like when the food was sitting out, then maybe not all of them were aware I don't eat ham. Maybe they weren't. But also they just went and got the food. So then I got up and I went to the other part of the church and said, I gotta blow my nose. Like, because I've been sneezing and my nose has been running. So I'm gonna get a tissue. So then I went to and I was looking because they had tissues in the hallway, like on Sunday. And then I looked and they were gone. And then in the main church area, there was a box of tissues I remember walking past. I grabbed like 5 tissues or something. Then I came back. I was not gone very long. This is like less than a minute, like maybe 20 seconds or something, that I grabbed some tissues and came right back. And then I went to look at the food and I knew it was pizza. And then as soon as I heard that, I said, I knew they're going to have pizza. It's all going to be pork. I'm not going to have any food. They're going to starve me out. But probably not everybody was aware of what was going on. Probably a lot of people had no idea. But maybe a couple did. Probably a couple did, but most did not, okay? I'm just going to say clearly. Most people have no idea. And a lot of people, they didn't greet me or anything, kind of turned away. But actually, in the regular church, there's people that almost seemed like they were repelled from me. It was much worse. But anyways, I went in and it's like nobody was like, oh, hey, none of them made sure I got any food. None of them showed me where the plates were or anything. It was just like they got their food. And then, and that's good because I wasn't going to eat any pork, and I didn't want to offend people right away, even though God tells me to offend people all the time. I guess I'll wait and do that later. I'll do that later when it's more appropriate. So, yeah, they had like 3 pizzas set up and there was 13 people there. Yeah, and then they had a couple of 2 liters a pop. So, and then there was looked like a coffee maker. It was a little further down. So everybody was where the pizzas were. And so when I came back after I got my tissues, then I kind of like went around all the people that were right at the pizzas, and I went to get some coffee. And then, I prayed over the coffee, and while I was praying over, the woman who invited me interrupted my prayer. So I believe she's a witch too, probably, or has her spirits. She seems so nice. She seems like such a nice person, but I think she's probably a head witch. I don't know. Anyways, and she's like, oh, I think that's from yesterday. While I was praying, or she said, is that coming out? And then interrupted my prayer, and I stopped, and I said, I said it's coming out. She said, I think that's from yesterday, and I took a drink, and I was like, yeah, it's cold. So the coffee was from yesterday, and she's like, let me throw that away for you, and then I handed her the cup. I would have drank it, but, she said, let me throw that away for you, so I gave it to her. I don't need to drink cold coffee. So then I got another cup, and then they had like a Pepsi and a Mountain Dew. So then I went and I poured some Mountain Dew in my cup, and at that point, everybody had gotten the pizza. There was 2 pieces left. There's only 2 pieces left, and they had pepperoni on it anyways. I left it. Someone else got them a few minutes later. That's what I mean. No one was making sure that I got anything to eat. No one cared. Everyone just swarmed in, got the food, and sat down. No one was like, oh, here's this thing, or this is what we do. Like, there wasn't that introduction, like, that type of niceness going on. Does that make sense? It's kind of like I just showed up and then they kind of made me feel, they tried to make me feel uncomfortable, if that makes sense. This is spiritual warfare. But a lot of people, like, they probably, this was not their plan. They were just doing what they do. But the couple probably were involved. Probably, like, maybe 2 people knew what was going on, okay? So I don't want to blame everybody, seriously, because a lot of people probably had no idea that, maybe they didn't even consider, oh, I'm new. Let's make sure you get some. Here it is. No. And that's okay. I didn't want the ham pizza anyways. And by this happening, it prevented an awkward moment as soon as I show up, and I don't even know what's going on. So like at the other church, I would sit in the back and observe. And so I thought, I'll just see what's going on. Okay. And then they mentioned, like, after we were talking to the pizza, and then the woman who invited me said, oh, when they have other food, they normally, like, cook or something. They were mentioning food, and they said for next weekend, they said something like they had a ham. She said, like, she had a ham that was brought up. So maybe on Sunday I'll have to mention this. Maybe I'll have to mention it on Sunday. I don't know, because this is a thing. Like, there are people that pretend to like me and pretend to be my friend. They really do. And then as soon as you got to go along with the church, what the people believe. and if you don't go along with it, then they frame you for crime, smear your name, okay, and they don't like you anymore. Like once you have a different theology, but it's not a matter of I have a different theology than them. It's a matter of I have direct knowledge from God, and that we are not supposed to eat this, and some of them know, okay, that it's an abomination, and they're doing it because they're witches. So it's not like, oh, we have a difference of opinion. This is what they would say, a compromise. We have a difference of opinion. No, it's like 13 witches and me, and like having this pork and flaunting it, waving it in front of like the pepperoni pizza, when I didn't have anything else to eat. But I wasn't that hungry. I was a little unhappy actually that I didn't have any pizza. I really was. But, I wasn't that unhappy because they had some Mountain Dew. And so I blessed that Mountain Dew and I put it in my cup and I drank it. When that was gone, then they had some Pepsi left and I put some. So I got something, okay? And actually, I was looking forward to the Mountain Dew. I know it's poison chemicals, but I hadn't drank it. I had the Diet Mountain Dew yesterday. I'm like, well, Mountain Dew. Did they know? Maybe they did. Maybe someone at the soup kitchen saw me with my Mountain Dew, and so they thought to bring it. Maybe they cursed it. I don't know. And they also passed out bottles of water to everybody, which I know from the previous church are cursed. I knew that was going to be cursed. The reason I didn't drink it, though, because I probably would have, is because I was drinking the pop. While I'm there. I do have water here, so I thought, they got Mountain Dew here. I'm going to drink that while I'm here. I'm going to get something. But yeah, they mentioned ham. Actually, I noticed there were several women, I was smelling cigarettes. So it wasn't just the one woman. There were other people, in their car coming out that were smoking cigarettes too. So I noticed that several of these women were smoking cigarettes, and, I believe, and I don't want to be rude to anyone, because maybe God has sent me here, to be an example of, I don't know, like an example of just being nice to people. Don't need to wear makeup. You don't need to wear certain clothes, just an example, like that stuff doesn't matter, and just treat each other well. You know what God does. I don't know. Something. Or for me to fail by not mentioning the pork, and then they don't like me, or I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I have no idea. I have no idea if I failed or not. I don't. So, but yeah, I noticed that out of all these women, all of them were overweight. Now, gosh, I'm not trying to be mean. Not at all. But I'm saying is that almost every, okay. So there was, I think, 12 women there. And except for me, and I will mention in a minute, and there was a couple other, they were all overweight. But then there was 2 women that weren't. They were maybe skinnier than me. But they had been addicts, so I could tell that they were on drugs, and so they weren't eating too much food. That's what I'm saying. So it was 2 women, so maybe the one was a recovered addict, and maybe the other one was an addict or a recovered addict, and they were slender. But then all of the other women were overweight, and I could tell that they were witches, because I used to know them. I used to hang out with them many years ago, and they have a certain look and a certain way they behave. I know what it is. I know what it looks like. So I was just surprised that when I showed up, it was like a setup where every single woman was a witch, but maybe the addicts weren't. I seriously mean, but the one would have had her spirits. One woman might have been a believer. The other one might have been recovered. Might have been a believer. But this was a setup and a half. Because my opinion is I believe that they were all witches, possibly one wasn't. Possibly one was a recovering addict or a recovered addict. They were all witches. They brought pepperoni pizza when they normally have home-cooked food. And they did not invite me. They kind of made, they said some things that was not welcoming. Oh, there's a sign-in sheet, and no one told me about it. And then, they handed, these little they handed these things out here about the Bible study, and I didn't get one. Oh, you're supposed to do the sign-in sheet, and then you get one. I'm oh, and do I need to sign that? No, or you wouldn't be here. But then I had to wait, and then, a minute later, they brought me one. But I didn't get one right away. So they weren't being hospitable. They weren't being hospitable. But a lot of people, they weren't paying attention. So they weren't, some of them maybe weren't trying to be rude. That's what I'm saying. But no one was like, oh, here's a new person, it was kind of like you just show up and let's see how you like this pepperoni pizza. Anyways, so, but then it wasn't too bad. I just see a couple passive aggressive things from key people. Now, actually, after um, after it started, then another woman came in and she was also slender, and she kind of looked like Megan Fox. I think she looked like Megan Fox, like if a normal human was Megan, like a normal woman was Megan Fox, because celebrities look a little different. They do some weird stuff, but like Megan Fox is a normal woman, okay, and she comes in and she's not overweight and she's not an addict. So she had she was more in charge. I could tell she was possibly a witch too. I think she was a witch, and she came in later. Um, let's see. They did mention another Bible study next weekend. Um, so they did cover. So the Bible study. I'm trying to think. Is that like people weren't necessarily rude, but they weren't hospitable, and then they had their own problems though. So maybe that's why God sent me here, is because they have problems and possibly they can be healed. Maybe they can repent. Maybe because a lot of them, they were just unhappy, and if that can be fixed, I did just like we're supposed to try to convert people and help them, and not just because like you're a witch, to stay away from them, because you can't convert anybody if you don't like meet with them or associate with them or anything. So maybe that's why God has sent me here. I don't know. Or maybe it's just so that I lose and I get humiliated. It's another humiliation ritual. Oh, no food for you, and you can't say anything. The person that likes you likes ham. This is the same thing they did. And that was the person that framed me for stuff. That was the one that lied and said that they saw me um, saying inappropriate things to children or something. That was the one that pretended that she liked me, but she was really a witch, and her husband was a warlock. I knew they were involved in the church, so but she acted like she liked me, but I did not repeat the put the Jesus in my heart, so then I was an enemy. So then they lied and like framed me for a crime. Anyways, this is probably the same type of thing that, and maybe I'm wrong, but this could be the same type of thing where she comes in and pretends like she likes me, and then. Because that maybe that previous church was training, I don't know, and she doesn't. It's just to get me to conform, to see like with peer pressure if I will do the same as everyone else, if I'll say anything or not. Then you know what? If God calls me to say something, I sure as hell will. But I don't know if as soon as I show up before I even sit down is the right time. That just might not be the right time. I'm just gonna say I'm trying to look like God, give me a sign if you want me to say something, and when. Tell me. Because, like, you're going to burn bridges if you just say it as soon as you walk in the door. But maybe I should. I don't know. I don't know. But they covered, so it was a Bible teaching. They had a little video. And so it was really, you get together and eat pizza and then there's Bible. But, it was about David and Goliath. And normally these messages are targeted to me. About David and Goliath. And the verse was 1 Samuel 17. 17. That was the verse that they were talking. David and Goliath, and what he did, what kings didn't even want to go against Goliath, but David did, and they said he was small in stature. And so I'm thinking, is this supposed to be like me? Because I'm not afraid of anything. And I just do apparently I sign up for things that no one else wants to do, because I'm the only normal person in the soup kitchen. And now, actually, I think I've learned how to navigate it. They could always, like, throw a monkey wrench and do something else. But so far, nothing they've tried has worked. They mentioned the giant. The giant, Goliath, was 9 foot, 9 inches tall. At least that's what we think based on, like, measurements. Okay, and 126 pounds of armor. So that's like me. Actually, I probably weigh more than that now. I don't have a scale. I used to weigh less than that. I probably weigh more than that now. See, they were talking about Saul. So yeah, Saul of Tarsus. So Saul became Paul. But then there was a different evil king named Saul. Well, maybe Saul meant something else. And maybe that's a little clue that Saul became Paul is still Saul. Anyways, it was about Israelites versus a Philistine giant who was a hybrid. Um, and just like nobody wanted to do this. And then they covered 2 Corinthians, which is not scripture. That's not scripture. And then talking about how, and this is just a short little verse. I'm not going to mention anything about this. It's not even like that it doesn't really matter. But this is something like Paul said he had a thorn in his side 3 times. And then he prayed to remove it. And then later it said he prayed to use the thorn. So actually, that's not a bad teaching. And not everything the Pharisees taught was bad. Probably 90% of it was true, and 10% was lies. I'm just going to say, it can't all be lies, or it's not even a religion. Then it's just straight out Satanism and devil worship. So, like, a lot of it has to be true, but then they throw some, like, bad stuff in there, too. Let's see here. And someone mentioned, so the woman that invited me, she mentioned a show on Amazon Prime about House of David and that being good, but she had to pay for it. Knowing I don't have any money, of course. They know I don't have any money. But that's not why she mentioned that. But actually, she did mention, so maybe maybe she was trying to trigger me or get me to say something. Because she mentioned specifically Snap. And if the Kingdom of Darkness, they were watching my videos, they know I've made a video about get rid of Snap. We shouldn't have this. So I'll get rid of it, burn it down. Okay, so the woman that invited me, she said that Amazon Prime Video had this really good show and how much it cost. She was paying to watch Amazon Prime. And then at the same time she said that, then she said that she had Snap. So she was bringing up Snap. She had the food assistant. She had food stamps, and she was also paying money to get Amazon Prime. I didn't even think about that. I just thought of that right now. She said this at like the same time. She mentioned Amazon Prime first, I think. Okay, I was there for a while, so I'm trying to get it right. She mentioned Amazon Prime, and then you got to pay for it, but it's half off if you get Snap. Oh, that's what it was. If you have Snap, then you get half price on Amazon Prime. Yeah, that's real nice too. Just more freebies, but Amazon is free to do that if they want. But anyways, like I was not upset when I don't know if this was an attempt to make me upset or to trigger me or cause me to say something inappropriate or turn people off right away. I think that's what it was. And so that's why, like, sometimes you gotta hold your tongue. You can't burn the bridges. Like, what the enemy does is the enemy infiltrates the churches and goes along, okay, and then they hide. So, like, I can't be effective if I just start, like, bashing things they believe right away. So if I'm wrong, I could be, but this is just kind of what I'm thinking here. But she mentioned Snap. She gets Snap. She actually looked pretty well put together, but maybe she had a house fire or something, so she could be in a bad situation. So maybe this was an attempt to get me to say something inappropriate, like, oh, I'm paying to watch these shows and I get food stamps. But I didn't react to that. See. So then this list here, they would have us each read a line as we went around, and it's just like a sentence, and I read it. Then after, oh, what is on this? So I could read you guys some of this David and Goliath thing here. When David arrived on the scene, no one among the Israelites was willing to stand up to the giant, not even King Saul. Nobody was thinking about God. Neither King Saul nor the Israelite soldiers mentioned the Lord at all. That's true, I guess. Well, I don't know for sure. But no, if they truly believed in God, they wouldn't have been afraid. I'm not, even if I do stuff I don't like and it makes me nervous and it's uncomfortable, but I'm not afraid. I tell him, I'm not afraid of you. The young shepherd, David, wasn't worried about his small stature or lack of weaponry. I was wondering, is this something? He also had a ruddy appearance. So, instead, David was focused on God's stature and God's armies. That's right. As God will fight for us and provide the victory. So more than David versus Goliath, this was a God focus versus giant focus. He had every right to feel overwhelmed, yet he remained calm because he understood the battle belonged to the Lord. Um, and then the next section, God is with us as well when pain enters. And then whether physical, emotional, relational, or some other type of pain, we know that pain always hurts. Feeling hurt. So in the video we watched, a guy talking about pain. Sometimes we have pain that we deserve. Sometimes we have undeserved pain. And, I don't really remember. But it was kind of a basic, middle school type video. It's, inspirational. I would say I didn't really learn. But actually, there's some good stuff in this. There's some truth in here. And then that says the Bible makes three things clear when it comes to our afflictions. First, there's no pain-free option in life. See John 16:33, and they asked her if someone knows what that is. And the woman, who I believe was a recovered addict, see, I don't know for sure, but this is what I think. Or she could be an alcoholic that's not always drinking. She could be someone that drinks but doesn't drink all the time, okay? Because she was very sound mind right then, okay? And she quoted the verse. And this verse was about overcoming the world. This is a good thing. The chosen ones have to overcome the world. It means, be able to not sin. To fix, even though you might have been traumatized or treated bad or you had, problems, then you learn how to deal with them or not let them bother you. And overcome the world is just to not sin. You don't need to go and sin because something bad happens. I say, if I'm overcoming the soup kitchen, I would think I'm getting close. But, then they'll probably pull something else. But you know what I'm saying here. Secondly, everyone does something with pain. Some numb it, some obsess over it, and some try to run. But everyone must deal. Okay, so third, pain displays God's glory. Nothing glorifies God more than suffering. David found strength in God during many seasons. David practiced picky thinking by actively preserving himself from dwelling on painful thoughts, memories, or accusation. When you are puzzled by pain, ask God to use that pain for glory, and remember to guard your thoughts. So anyways, there's something what's this? He was overwhelmed. So then this actually made me nervous. So I mean, I'm not afraid, but or overwhelmed, but I'm nervous. It makes me nervous. I don't like to show up and there's all these strangers here and I'm in a weird situation and, or I don't have any clean clothes or, I'm humiliated again. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it, but I do it. I wouldn't say it's not fear. It's just uncomfortable. If you have to give a presentation in front of people, I would say that's not a fear. You're not afraid you're going to be killed. You just don't like it. It's uncomfortable. That's how it feels to do this stuff. Because I never know. I mean, that's what everything is. Pop quiz again. You give a presentation, and you don't know what you're supposed to do. Anyways, so then the woman who came in later that looked like Megan Fox. Actually, people told her, "Are you so pretty?" They said this too. And I noticed that a couple other times, and they would tell other women, "You're so pretty. Well, you look pretty." And they would mention this a few times, and I didn't say anything because, I just showed up. I'm observing, and they said it right away, so there wasn't really a chance to join in. I don't tell women that they're beautiful like that. I don't tell men that they're I just don't. I tell every day I tell my dogs. That they are beautiful. But just people, I don't tell them that they're, because that's just not what I do. Anyways, I try to focus more on, if somebody's character than their physical appearance, if that makes sense. Because I don't really, if I compliment somebody's outer body, actually that might be something I would do, I just never do. Because I almost feel like you need to compliment their spirit more. Something good that an action or a belief they have, compliment that more than, or you would compliment that before you compliment what they look like. So that's, I just don't do that. But I noticed they did this several times. And then this woman, the Megan Fox, she, Samantha. Oh no, I'm so sorry, I'm not supposed to say the name. Well, I guess there's many other Samanthas. And she asked, what do we do to cope when we feel overwhelmed, like how David was overwhelmed, and how we feel what do we do to cope when we feel overwhelmed? And so I didn't really answer it the way they did because we're different. I'm just going to say, like, this is the truth. What do you do when you're overwhelmed? Because then everyone around, and they answered, and people had different things. And a lot said watch TV, or somebody said take a walk. Like, they were saying things they did to relax and to make themselves feel better. I don't do any of that. Like, I don't really have time. Like, and I'm behind trying to check my emails, and then I'm trying to go to sleep, or I want to watch something that I was going to do anyways. It's not because I'm overwhelmed. I don't. So if I'm overwhelmed, I'm not really overwhelmed. But if I was, I wouldn't do anything to get rid of that feeling, because I don't have time. I don't. So people are saying what they did when they get overwhelmed and things they do. And someone's mentioning like watch a movie, or I don't really remember. Just this was the general type of thing. Or someone said get angry. I think this was the. So there was two women that I think were addicts, or currently or used to be, and one of them was like get angry, or said be an asshole. So oh sorry, I'm not supposed to say that. Said be an asshole. And that was funny. I don't know. But she said I'm working on it. So that was it was good, to be honest. But and then when it was my turn, because I try to tell the truth, because this is a question I don't even really think about. And I said I used to be overwhelmed, like when I was trying to fix things and I kept getting blocked. And then I don't remember exactly what I said. I said I'm not like, and I stopped because God put us where we are. God knows what situation, so I just try to do what God wants. And I said I'm uncomfortable, and don't I think there's situations I'm uncomfortable and I don't like it. And then I said, but God knows, God put us here. God knows what we're going through, and uh, doesn't like test us more than what we can handle, or doesn't make us doesn't give us more than we can bear. Yeah, something like that I said. Okay, so that's just the truth. Because I'm not overwhelmed in that sense, because I know that God has planned everything out in my life. This is God's plan, not mine. And so when I didn't know, I thought I could take a year or two, 2 years ago, I thought an action I would take would fix my problem. Like if I sued, if I did something, then I could fix my house. If I got a lawyer, if I paid somebody, then I could get my house fixed. Or, if I went to the right mechanic, it would be my fault. Like I could get my car fixed, or I could fix my car myself, or, that's what I was thinking. And then I was overwhelmed because everyone kept attacking me and stopping everything. But then I realized the situation and learned. And I'm like, okay, I'm not to do anything because God is in control. And then I stopped being overwhelmed. But yeah, I'm uncomfortable. You say uncomfortable or nervous, yeah, but not overwhelmed. These are different. These are different things. Because, yeah, and what do I do about it? Nothing, because, I don't. I'd seem like I don't have enough time to do stuff anyways. It's just I'm making these videos now instead of, I don't do anything to cope. So I didn't want to be lying, so I just tried to answer honestly. So I used to be, when I thought I had to fix my own problems, and then I realized God put us in these situations, so now, now I'm not. I'm uncomfortable, I don't like it. So that's what I'm saying. And then, so then the Sam woman, a couple minutes later, she's mentioned something, and then she said, "Oh, and Jennifer, and what she did mention, that wasn't in the Bible. That was a mistranslation from the Bible. And so she, this is what I mean about being a witch. She didn't correct anyone. Not that anyone, but so I'm saying, she specifically mentioned what I said was not in the Bible. She corrected me, because I said God doesn't test you more than you can bear." She corrected this, because actually I guess in 2 Corinthians or something, and I don't know if it's 1st or 2 Corinthians, somewhere in the New Testament there is a similar verse from someone that says they're Paul, which is not Paul. Anyways, there's a similar line of text that has, but it's a little bit different meaning, but it's close. And that I was not referring to that, though. I was just yeah, that's actually in the Quran. That's in the Quran. That's but it's not. I wasn't quoting the Bible. I was quoting the truth. Like, because I know God's not going to test us more than we can bear. God doesn't make us go through more than we can handle, because it's God. Like, I didn't say this because it was in the Bible. I said it because it's true. And so, but she corrected me and she said, and that's not in the Bible, but it's just another humiliation ritual. Yeah, it's in the Quran, but actually, that is not why I said it. I said it because it's true, and everyone knows it's true. And that's why so many Christians say it. And they say, oh, you're mistranslating, the New Testament and this Epistle of Paul. No, it's just a fact. We are saying it because we know it and it makes sense. Gosh. Anyways, so she made sure to correct me, but she wasn't rude. But, like, this is my first time there, and I was not made to feel welcome. I was not given a plate. I was not, like, told how things happen or what goes on. And then I was corrected, and no one else was corrected. And so you see how these are the little passive-aggressive things the witches do. So the Kingdom of Darkness does. They just try to get you sad, get a little tear in your eye. I didn't. I'm just like, I don't really like this, but, let's see. So then it went around, like, later, I don't know if this is when they were talking about being overwhelmed. So maybe then people were mentioning some of their problems. And there's a lot of people with problems. And I was just taking my notes, and I wrote down some of the problems people have. Some of the problems people have. So it seems like maybe they need help. They need the type of help they're not getting. Maybe they need deliverance, but they have to want it. They have to want... I gotta blow my nose. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, my big dog has figured out how to open this, and he dumped it into my tissues, so they're all wet. So yeah, he opens with his mouth. He opened my cleaner and dumped most of it out and wasted it into my tissues. I think I'm gonna post a video. So basically, when I was leaving, I clicked record, and it'll record for like 2.5 hours before it shuts off, just to see if anything would happen while I'm gone, like if someone would come spy or if the dogs did something. And then I kind of pulled through. Nothing happened, except for then I see my big dog, and then I see him get my tissues and pull them out and throw them all over the floor, and then getting my spray cleaner. So maybe I'll upload that to YouTube. I don't have a video editing device that can clip it now, but if I upload it to YouTube, then I can clip it, or shorten it, crop it, or whatever. So these are some of the problems. It's like seemed that everyone there had trauma. The woman who invited me, she seemed like really well put together and polite, but she had a fire and lost. She said, because she was like, oh, that's a nice bag. When she looked at my Temu bag, I had a cheap bag I got in Temu. I brought that. It's waterproof. And so, like, if it's snowing or something, then that's good. And that's just the one I used anyways. I brought that to put my Bible in because I could zip it closed and I would have my hands full. Nothing would fall out. And if it started, like, raining or snowing. So, and I said, yeah, I had to get rid of a lot of things from my past. And she said, I had a fire. I didn't have a choice. This was another little underhanded, passive-aggressive jab. I believe that she was doing some of this. And these are witchcraft attacks. Basically, like, I chose to buy a new bag on Temu that was not from my past. And she had to get new things because she had a house fire. So, see, this is the underhanded stuff they do. Like, your first visit, you are not made to feel welcome. If you are a believer, I suppose. I don't know. And like, oh, you were supposed to sign in. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can do it. But if you had to do it, then you wouldn't be here. Just something like a little rude. But her voice was normal. So it was like, what do you call that? Where you could explain it away as it wasn't really rude. But we know it is. But it wasn't everybody. So it was just a couple of people who were like this. So, maybe two. Maybe only 2 people were rude like this. Maybe it was more. I don't know. And so that's why I'm saying that I can't generalize everyone. Even if they are all witches, maybe most of them were not there to attack me. Maybe only 2 were doing some little underhanded stuff. Maybe it was more than that. I don't know. But at least two were, and probably not everyone. There was a couple people that the recovering addicts actually seemed like they were fine. So there's always people that try to get me, though. And, like, they try to get me at the soup kitchen. They try to get me in the charity group. They try to get me in the churches. So I am not bashing this church in particular, but I was so surprised to see the Bible study was all witches. There might be a couple that weren't, but it was overwhelmingly witches. Almost all witches, and I don't think the man was a witch. But see, they all had trauma. They need help. Maybe, is that why I'm here? They need help? So I wrote it down. They mentioned things about their lives. Depression, anger. The one woman said she was bipolar. Bipolar, she's got demons. Which we already know, but anxiety. And then that woman that was bipolar said she was alone since she was 17. Maybe her parents left her, or she didn't have family. And she put up a wall. And someone else mentioned people pleasing, and I think this was Megan Fox, mentioned people pleasing and putting up boundaries. And what does this have to do with a ham? Am I supposed to say ham is forbidden? It's an abomination? And so also, like, there was another woman there that she hadn't been there a very long time. She'd been there for several months or something. And because I just asked, like, how long have you been coming? And she said, like, this is the church for me, because I was at another church, and they, like, said some rude things about gay people. And so I think that this was probably trying to get me to say something. I don't know. But actually, I agree with that. Because the last church I went to, the pastor was a Pharisee, was not even, like, a normal human, okay? And he would say these things, and it was a targeted attack. Because, see, no, it's not God's design, but like they say these things like, oh, and it's an abomination, and we're not going to agree with it. Yeah, okay, but you eat pork, and then you won't say anything, because the Bible says pork is an abomination, and I don't even know, like, it's not even clear whether it says being gay is an abomination. Like, it's not God's original design, but like there are other explanations for what the Bible says, that it's still not 100% clear that's even what it says. Now, it might be, but it is 100% clear that it says pork is an abomination, so that's what they do. These churches today, they say really rude, hurtful things. They say rude, hurtful things to gay people, or about gay people, and then they eat pork and refuse to say eating pork is wrong. Well, these pastors are going to be in big trouble with God. Because, like, these gay people, yeah, so maybe they're living in sin. They are humans, and then you are hurting their feelings and turning them away. That is a worse sin, okay? And you should be kind to them. So, this is a big problem. The churches, like, you lead by example, and you encourage people, and then, like, eating pork, that shouldn't hurt anyone's feelings. To say pork is an abomination, how does that hurt someone's feelings? Like, oh, this isn't, oh, look, Jesus said demons can possess pigs, and then you're eating it. How does this hurt someone's feelings to say? That is forbidden, but then you say hurtful things to gay people. Yeah, maybe they're not living the right way. I don't, but then you treat them this way and hurt their feelings. I believe that people that do that is horrible. So someone did mention they were at another church. This was the church for them. So that's the thing. Like, this church, they're all into the wokeism. They're totally into the wokeism, and that's why they brought these things up. They're bringing up all these things to try to trigger me. But, like, actually, I do agree with that. The churches should not be bashing gay people. They should not, like, the churches, they also lie and bash women too. So this is not what God wants. God wants us to be kind to each other. And someone mentioned that too. And it's like, yeah, actually. So see, I haven't found one church that is 100% right on anything. And actually, everyone that I've seen is controlled by demons and devils. So, I haven't found one that isn't. And probably there is somewhere, but I haven't seen it. So it's like, then they respond to, like, so this church is led by devils, and then they say, like, these horrible things, like, they turn away gay people by being rude to them and things that would hurt their feelings. Okay, that's wrong. But these aren't even humans. These are like Pharisees. which are religious spirits. They're not normal humans, okay? And so then, witches and things see that. They reject that. They go to a different place. But see, God has rules for us, but it's not to hurt us, and it's not to hurt our feelings or to make life hard. It's actually to make our life easier, and to protect us. But anyways, so they mentioned some things, and I actually agree with. Like, if you have somebody coming to your church, they don't understand English, then, maybe that is nice to translate. But do you really need a translator for one person? I don't know. But, this is something that would be nice, and it was something that would be polite. But it's been weaponized. So it's like they're using it to turn people away and make them look like enemies. So it's saying it's being used as a weapon. It's something that would be a good deed. But I am not sure their motivation is actually to be doing a good deed. The motivation might be to be keeping conservatives out of the church, because they see things that are red flags. Now, these can even be good behaviors. So these can be good behaviors and things that are polite. Like, oh, here's a couple of Mexican people in here, and they don't understand English, and so we translate it for them. You know what? That would be a really nice thing. But, and that's the thing. All this politicization and the left versus right, and this, if it is done for the right reason, is a good deed. But it's like many of these places, they don't do it for the right reason. They actually do it to cause more fighting and to keep people out and to turn people away. But it actually would be, so that whether it's a good deed or not just depends on the reasons why they are doing it. And I have a feeling that it is not being done for the right reasons. But some people see it as a good thing. They see it, yeah, actually, this would be a good deed. But if they are doing it to hurt other people or to cause trouble, then they are not doing a good deed, even though it might be helping someone. So this is the thing. Things that would be helpful to people, yeah. Anyways, I don't need to go off too much into this, but there was people there with childhood trauma. There was people there, people pleasing. There's people there, oh, and my goodness, at the end they talk about people there wanted to commit suicide. And the one woman, she was thinking about suicide, and she didn't cry a lot, just a little, like, I think maybe she teared up a little. And then the one man that was there, and he mentioned, like, he was thinking about suicide. And so God sent me in this group. And so, maybe it was a setup for me. I don't know. These people need healing. They need help. They need help. And maybe I'm just not supposed to even talk about the pork. That's what I mean. I don't know. God, do you want me to mention the pork? That was sad when they were talking about committing suicide. My goodness, So I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, someone said that they would meet with me and, talk to me today. They'd be at the soup kitchen. They were there at dinner last night. They were not here. They did not go to the soup kitchen today. Maybe they were there for lunch. I did not see them for dinner. So maybe they went for lunch when I was at the church. That's possible, but I did not see them, didn't get to talk with them. After I went to this, then I went to the other church, and then I talked to the man and his wife for a while. And then they were calling and trying to find out if they actually did have the music class, because it was so close to Christmas. And then they found out that no one was going to be there. And so I walked all that ways for nothing. They didn't have the strings. They didn't put on the new strings. And I walked more than a mile with this guitar and all my stuff. And so they were really trying to be helpful and, like, really considerate is what I'm saying. Really considerate. So that's the difference between somebody that has demons and somebody that is a good person. Is that, one doesn't really care if you get a plate. They don't really, want to make you feel welcome. And then others like, oh, I'm sorry, I've had another thing going on, and they showed up early just to catch me to let me know. And then they were like, oh, and I don't know if anyone's going to be here. And they called and found out, and then they wanted to. They, like, basically gave me a ride home, and I didn't have to ask. They felt, it was the right thing to do. And I feel like an idiot when I was getting in the car, because this is like, it's not even that new of a car. It's like a 2017 or something. I gotta write that down. So, my gosh, this is awful. I'm losing my stuff. It's falling on the floor. So, I feel like an idiot in this car because I couldn't figure out how to open the door, and then I couldn't figure out how to close the door. And there's actually a button. You push it and it closes itself. So I couldn't figure out how to do it. And my car was like an '07. It didn't even have a CD player, and so I liked it, but with this new stuff, I don't understand it. The car actually was comfortable inside, anyways. Then they dropped me off at home and left, and I gave them my number, but we'll see if something happens. People normally let me down, and then they don't come back. They don't keep their word, but maybe these ones will. I think these ones might. So, it's just now I've got stuff to do on Tuesday, and we'll see. But apparently they don't have music classes for a few weeks or something. But I'm still going to show up. I'm still going to show up, and hopefully they'll get the strings and stuff. But the man, he did, I forget his first name, my goodness. Because he mentioned it on Sunday, but, I'm not good with names. And then he spent a long time trying to tune it, and he's like, oh, it's changing because it's warming up. It's changing and keeps needing retuned because they're 30-year-old strings. He would tune it, and then after he tuned it, it immediately was out of tune again. He didn't even play it. And he was like, so he would tune it, and then he would test it, and it was out of tune already, like just by testing it. So anyways, it still did sound a lot better, though, at the end of it. But, yeah, we'll see. And then, okay, what happened? At dinner, the woman that I spoke with shortly, and we got intercepted, and the family came, and the kids came up, and it was not appropriate. She said, I'll talk to you tomorrow. I did not see her. And I was there at the soup kitchen, and so the man that was at the church, and I thought was envious, or he didn't like that I was there, okay. Then this was completely different this day. Then he was like, oh, did you go? And I'm like, yeah, I went. And then so they're probably they want me to come back, and someone's gonna give me a ride. And then he was really happy. So now he's really happy. And then he's with the other woman that works there that likes me, and then they're like hugging and stuff. So then he's real happy, and he says, "You're one of us now." Great. Then I gotta tell him not to eat ham, and then they're all gonna hate me. Then they're all gonna hate me again. So this is what they do, but maybe it's not. Like, this is what I would believe. Like, from my past experiences, it's a setup, but maybe there's a chance that actually it's not. I would be surprised, but it's possible. But it's looking like a setup. But anyways, he was real happy and being nice. There was another woman there too, and I couldn't quite understand what she was saying. I did a little bit, and she normally goes, but didn't this time. And just said hello to her, and he's like, how'd you like it? I'm like, it was okay. And I was like, I said, well, I don't know anybody. I just showed up, and, I don't really know anybody yet. Just trying to, I can't remember what we talked about. So they want me to come back, and they would drive me, so that's good. So then he was really happy, and he will be there next week. So this could be a test to see if I did something bad, if they kicked me out right away. See, am I going to join them? There's like, you're one of us. Well, but the thing is that I don't fit into any group, and you're going to find that out just like everyone else does, and I end up alone. So that is, but I would like, if God allows me to heal these people and help them, if it comes up, I don't know. But I know the ham was brought up and it was loaded and other things, so I probably have to say something about the ham, then they won't like me anymore, and then it'll ruin the soup kitchen too. I don't know. It sucks. See, did anything else happen? And I got home. Well, I had to throw away that snack bar because I had to put pork in that. It's like a perfectly fine dessert bar I was looking forward to eat, and they put pork in it. Dog pulled the blanket on the floor again, almost through the dog door. So now, even though someone was offering to cover my laundromat, so I can go to the laundromat, they had a card there for me to use once a week. No, I have to keep using it on the blankets because the dogs never did this. And then as soon as I get this card, then they're pulling the blankets all through the floor and getting leaves and dirt. on the nasty parts of the carpet. And so then they never did this. Like, for months, like even like the whole year, they didn't do this. And then as soon as I get this card to go do my laundry, then they do this. So I think it's witchcraft or it's God. Because God wanted somebody to bless me so that they could be blessed, or angels were sent to bless me, but then I actually don't get the blessing. So, I'm still in the same situation, but someone else or an angel blessed me. Maybe God will bless them, or if they're just a fake person. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I'm trying to think. It was nice of them to drop me off. I did not go to the gym today or anything. It's after midnight, so this was my video, almost an hour and a half. Thanks for watching. God bless you all.